Good evening, ghouls and fiends. Welcome once again to another edition of the Ministry of Horror. I'm your host, Tez, and we're doing things a little bit differently this week. There's no pomp and circumstance with the opening themes, and there's also not going to be the usual "this is the news and review" music a bit later on. The first part of the change, whether it's permanent or just for this edition, not sure yet. It's just kind of due to mixing things up a bit. I suppose in terms of algorithms, grabbing attention, those sorts of things. I'm not entirely sure how having the same theme for a number of years affects that, whether that limits, throttles growth and reach. Not sure. I don't really know enough about algorithms. I probably should at this stage do some research and do a bit of learning. But we haven't done that. So I'm going to try something different. We're not going to have the typical Ministry of Horror theme intro. And then the second change, the lack of musical stings in the episode, is because I couldn't be bothered to set up my Stream Deck, which has my little stings on there. So the second part is laziness. The first part is trying to do a bit of experimenting. So, yeah. We'll see. We'll see if it makes any sort of difference. I don't know. But welcome to the show. Whether you're new or whether you're a regular listener, what we do here is we talk about horror news. The latest in horror news for film, TV, video game, maybe even books. I'm a huge book lover. We'll also talk about a few reviews we've got a bit later on. Now, I had wanted to do 3 reviews, but I haven't gotten around. I've been very tired the last couple of days. I haven't got around to watching one of the films that I've been very fortunate enough to have a screener for, which is called Nauseum. Haven't got around to watching that one yet. What I will try to do is in the next couple of days, get that one watched and just release a review purely of that film onto socials. Maybe also onto podcast platforms as its own review episode. We do have reviews coming up a bit later on, though. One is a kind of retro review of the French intense horror film High Tension, or Switchblade Romance, as it's known in some areas. And then also one of the films that has recently premiered at Fright Fest, Your Host. I managed to get to watch that a couple of weeks back, but I'm only just now able to talk about that. So, in terms of what's been going on since the last show, I'd toyed with the idea of doing a live stream this week, but we're getting closer and closer to the wedding. There's still lots of bits and bobs we have to do. Cross the T's, dot the I's. So it's been a stressful couple of weeks. And when it came to Friday night, when I was initially earmarking to do a stream, I just didn't really have the energy. I was just very, very tired. So apologies if anyone was looking forward to that stream over on Twitch, but didn't happen, unfortunately. I had then thought about doing it on Saturday. I was just tired, again, knackered. But in doing so, I have been able to watch a few different films here and there. One of the films that I was tempted to do a retro review of, but I have talked about it on this channel across the years a few times, was May. So May was part of a Second Sight sale order a little while ago, which also included High Tension, along with Texas Chainsaw Massacre 4K, Your Next 4K, Creep, Censor, which I'm really looking forward to doing a rewatch of because I really enjoyed that. Reviewed it on the show a little while ago. I think I might have given it an 8 out of 10, if not 7.5. But that's really, really, really good. But May, it's a film that I remember catching on DVD years ago, early 2000s. I must have gone into HMV or something and seen it on the shelf, picked it up, and I just sort of fell in love with that film, really. I'm not entirely sure why. I mean, it's got a really unique identity. Like, rewatching it last night, I had sort of forgotten about its kooky indie sensibilities, but it has this kind of indie garage rock soundtrack throughout most parts of it, and has some iconic lines here and there. Great performances from Angela Bettis, Jeremy Sisto, James Duval, Anna Faris as well is excellent in her role. I don't know what it is, but I just found it so sympathetic and heartbreaking. It just really tugged on the old heartstrings. And even again, watching it last night, I knew it was going to happen. But as we get into the final half an hour of the film, I just found myself feeling like, oh, she just needs a friend. She just needs a friend, you know. It's a very, very sad story. It goes quite out there, and she commits a number of crimes. But, really, really good. Gaming wise, obviously we talk about gaming. We also talk about reading. I'm still working my way through Joe Abercrombie's The Devils. It's really good, but I do find I don't make much progress on the pages. I don't know if it's the font size. Don't know what excuses I can come up with, but yeah, I'm only up to about page 140 of, I think it's a solid 600 odd pager, 650 maybe. So I think I'm about 20 to 25% through, perhaps. That's good. And gaming-wise, I'm still just having a lot of fun with Assassin's Creed Shadows. I don't know what it is, but this is the first Assassin's Creed game that I took a little break from, came back to it, and it's just got its claws in me. After all of the Assassin's Creed games that I've tried, and I've tried most of them over the years, I haven't tried the spin-off, the sort of side-scrolly games. I haven't tried Mirage, in terms of mainline games, and there's probably a couple of the Assassin's Creed 2 era ones that I haven't tried, but I've tried a lot of them, is my point. And this one, it's got a really good story, and the side questy bits I am actually finding myself enjoying doing, because I am seeing the benefit of them helping me level up. And because of that, I am able to play it like I would play something like FIFA, sports game, Football Manager, where I can just dip in for 20 minutes, 45 minutes, maybe an hour for a quick game, but I feel like I'm getting a lot done. In stark contrast to Death Stranding, which I do intend to sort of keep playing, but you can play that for an hour and barely do anything because you're just watching videos, FMVs. It's a very, very different sort of experience. That's obviously incredibly narrative, very big scope and grandeur. But Assassin's Creed Shadow, I'm enjoying it. I do quite often skip through dialogue sections. I read it, but I skip through the scene to get through it quicker, so I can just, feel like I'm getting something done in my short playthroughs here and there. Yeah, but no, that's good. And so in terms of then horror TV and whatnot, I do today have a new episode of The Institute to watch, and that does bring me to the first piece of news. So as per all our news, this comes from bloodydisgusting.com. This one written by Megan Navarro. MGM Plus renews The Institute for Season 2. MGM Plus has renewed The Institute, the new series based on Stephen King's novel, for an 8-episode second season, Deadline reports today. Set free but hunted. Oh god, okay, wait a minute. It feels like there's potentially spoilers in here, and I've not finished. Season 1 is being released in the UK at least, 1 episode a week. I have read the book that the series is based on, but I don't really feel like I want to. I don't really feel like I want to read this blurb if it has spoilers for how season 1's going to end, because I don't know at what stage they're going to split it out from the book. I don't know if they're planning to cover the whole book in series 1 and then expand the story in series 2. Not sure, but thoroughly enjoying it. And The Institute, along with Alien Earth, is really for me solidifying my preference. I'm not going to say how much better than, but my preference in TV shows dropping 1 episode a week. We've been spoiled in the last few years with streaming, where, shows like Stranger Things, I would watch the entire season when it drops within a day or two. A lot of other shows, I would watch a few episodes here and there. Something like Criminal Minds, when I was first getting into it, I would watch a couple episodes one night, a couple episodes another night. I wouldn't necessarily binge an entire season in one sitting, because that's insanity, and that's also probably about 18 hours of your life. But I would watch, the whole season is available. I would get through it fairly promptly. With the streaming world sort of slowly transitioning or implementing again the weekly TV show release, which other streaming platforms, I should say, have been doing that for a little while. It's not just exclusively drop a whole season in one go, or exclusively an episode a week, but where it's TV that I watch, such as this and Alien Earth, I am finding that it's just, it's so cheesy. It's just quite nice to have a day of the week where your show has a new episode. Obviously, with the fact that it's streaming based, it's not as if, back in the old day, it would be, Sundays on Channel 4 at 9 p.m. is Lost, or whatever day of the week it was, or, it wasn't that sort of thing where, I have to make sure I'm in, or I have to make sure I record, blah, blah, blah. You can fix it in whether you're watching, Alien Earth on your lunch break, or The Institute on a Sunday. I tend to watch that on a Sunday evening while I'm sort of unwinding. But it is just kind of nice to have that routine again. So I am thoroughly enjoying The Institute. I've been raving about it on my TikTok channel for Ministry of Horror. It's based on a Stephen King novel, which is decent. It's pretty good. I've got no complaints with The Institute. But it's modern King, where I enjoy it. Some books I enjoy more than others, like Never Flinch. I thought was okay, but not actually really that good of a story. But they just don't have as many standout or memorable moments as earlier classic King, where the worlds are much more rich and in history. So, long and short of it is I'm excited that MGM Plus have renewed The Institute, and I am looking forward, after recording, to watching the latest episode on MGM Plus, which I don't know if the offer is still on, but I currently have that on Prime as an add-on channel. It's 99p a month for 3 months, and I think it goes to $4.99, something like that. So, they've got some good classic horror on there. If you want some examples, check out my TikTok channel where I'll do a video on it. Cheap plug. Now, this is news that I did cover on the old Tickety Talk today. Okay, so I won't spend too long on this because I don't want to fill up the episode with my changes in hype levels or my concerns or reservations. But video game news from John Squires, Eddie the Beast's favourite. Original Shape actor Nick Castle is back as Michael Myers in Halloween the Game, of which trailer footage for Halloween the Game has dropped. The big horror news of the week was that Halloween the Game, an official video game based on John Carpenter's original horror classic, is headed our way next year from IllFonic. And it will feature online multiplayer, offline bots, and a single-player story mode. The news gets even more exciting as we head into the weekend, as the team announced that original Shape actor Nick Castle performed the motion capture for the game's Michael Myers. The official Halloween Portal account tweets, although it may be slightly different than the one he wore on film in 1978, Nick Castle put back on a suit to deliver the iconic walk, movements, and kills as only the OG Michael Myers could. In what is just one of the many ways Compass and IllFonic are striving to bring the utmost authenticity to this game, we wouldn't dream of having anyone other than Nick bring this character to life in this new digital realm, and we are thrilled he was eager to participate. Check out behind-the-scenes shot of Castle performing the mocap below. Halloween the Game will invite players to step into the chilling world of John Carpenter's genre-defining film, now transformed into a suspenseful one versus many stealth horror experience. Put on the iconic mask to become the ultimate slasher, Michael Myers, stalking and executing the citizens of Haddonfield one by one, or striving to thwart Michael Myers' plan as civilians determined to save the unaware townsfolk before it's too late. Halloween the Game will unleash Michael Myers onto Xbox Series X, S, PS5 and PC via Steam and the Epic Game Store in 2026. Okay. So when the news dropped last year, or earlier this year, I can't remember, that we're going to get not one but two official Halloween games, I, at that point, even before the studio involved, or studios involved, developers involved, whatever, had my reservations. On the basis that, at that point, all the horror property games we were getting, Friday the 13th, Evil Dead, Killer Clowns from Outer Space, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, of course, Dead by Daylight, were asymmetrical multiplayer horror games, where it's 1v many. You're either playing as the killer or you're playing as the people trying to escape the killer. And for me, that's not the sort of game that interests me. I prefer a single-player, narrative-focused game. Don't get me wrong, I like these properties, but multiplayer gaming isn't for me. Now, I picked up the Evil Dead game when that released. I saw that they had a single-player mode, and I thought, oh, okay, I'll give this a try. because I generally will play single player. Unless you have a group, then you can quite often be bunched with people who are either loud, overtly loud, obnoxiously loud. Not in terms of people should be silent, but in terms of if you're playing a game and someone's just breathing heavily into their microphone, or they've got music blaring, or they're screaming something. It's not a fun experience. And on the flip side, you could have a game where everyone either doesn't have a microphone or it just isn't talking. And so you're almost in the position of, well, why am I playing with these people? We're either going to work together or we're going to, what are we doing here? What is the point if we're not communicating? But with Evil Dead, it had a single player mode, sure, but I very quickly realised that single player mode was basically like how you can play World of Warcraft single player. It was, go to this location, collect 5 pages of book, battle this person, you killed them, move on to next location, kill things along the way. That's a very rudimentary approach to it. You could say that every game is like that. It has its mechanics. But a lot of single player games will have a story going on where it's not just a case of here's some text, blah 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 blah. You need to play it. It's almost just a step below it would be player 1 needs to complete quest to save princess. Complete quest. Chapter 1 done. Chapter 2 done. You're doing levels as opposed to playing a story, as opposed to playing, in that respect. So, bit of a ramble. I know I didn't want to spend too much time on it, but when this announcement came, and then it was announced that Gun Interactive, who had done, I believe, the Friday the 13th and a number of those horror property asymmetrical video games, when it was announced they had some involvement. I don't think they're the main developers, but they've got some involvement. Again, I'm thinking it's not going to be single player, is it? They announced the side-scrolling slash 'em up, which looked terrible. It got poor reviews, as far as I know. Not my sort of game. I've never heard anyone talk about it being good, fun, anything. No one talks about that. But this game has now finally had some footage come to light. Graphically, Friday the 13th, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Evil Dead. Straight away, the way that the characters move, asymmetrical horror. It's just there's a certain art style or graphical quality that just, there's no realism there. It doesn't look like what you would expect a PS5 or an Xbox Series game to look like. It looks like a game that could have come out PS3, PS4. It just, that's one thing. And I mean, it's me being harsh. I appreciate I am being harsh. And yeah, when I see, one of the things that they are mentioning is that there's a single player story mode. It has a story. And to me, I feel that is a direct response to the overwhelmingly positive response from the Hellraiser revival, I think it's called, Hellraiser Revival video game, where that came out of nowhere. Graphically, it looks really good, and it is a single player game. So it has a direct story focused. I feel that because of that, they've gone, okay, we've got a single player mode. We'll say that there's a story, but I've even heard that with the story, supposedly, I don't know if this is just people online speculating, the story is you are playing as Michael Myers. For a multiplayer aspect, playing as the killer or playing as the people trying to survive, great. You've got that dynamic. That's fun. For a single player game, and I think this was the case with the side scroller where you're playing as Michael Myers, surely when you're based on a horror property, the boogeyman, the bad guy, is the antagonist. If you're playing a horror game based on a Halloween, based on a stalking silent murderer that just is continuously pursuing you, and if he corners you, there's no way of getting out. Surely, if it's a horror game, you want to be playing the single player mode, as someone trying to get away or trying to defeat Michael Myers. I'm thinking maybe Outlast-esque, or Alien Isolation-esque. Because otherwise, what's the point in the story mode if you're playing as the killer? Because then, I don't know, it's just weird. Like, I get it from a multiplayer aspect, but if that is the route, if that is actually true, and it's not just people making assumptions that the single player story mode is playing as Michael Myers, what's the point? It's not a horror game then. It's a horror property, but it's not a horror game because where's the horror if you are the big bad? It's got gore, it's got violent kills. Okay, but you're not going to be scared playing it, are you? Because you're the bad guy. You're the overpowered entity. You're the end game. I don't know. I feel I am jumping to conclusions. I'm crapping on this based on my own presumptions of those multiplayer games that I'm not a fan of. But I don't have high hopes at this stage. I think I need to see in-game footage whenever it is due to be coming out. In-game footage showcasing the story mode, and even if that is a mixture of FMVs and in-game action, great. But I have a feeling there's not going to be any FMVs other than what we've kind of seen in terms of just trailer aspects, because I don't think there's going to be a story. But anyway, we'll move on. Sad news for fans of the prequel series for Dexter. Dexter Original Sin has been cancelled after 1 season. John Squires writes, so this is a weird one. 5 months after Showtime announced that Dexter Original Sin had been renewed for a 2nd season, the spin-off prequel series has now been cancelled after just 1 season. Variety reports this afternoon, Variety has learned from sources that Paramount has opted not to move forward with another season of the prequel series. A Season 2 renewal announcement went out in April. The site's exclusive report goes on to explain, but sources say the series has in fact been on hiatus and no plans to shoot a 2nd season had moved forward and no production dates were scheduled. Showtime went all in on Dexter with Original Sin and sequel series Dexter Resurrection, the latter of which seemingly will be returning for a 2nd season. According to Variety, Paramount is imminently planning to open a writer's room for a potential Season 2. Dexter Original Sin was set in 1991 Miami and revolved around Dexter as he goes from student to avenging serial killer. With guidance from his father Harry, the killer in training adopts a code designed to help him find and kill people without being discovered by law enforcement, at the same time as he begins a forensic internship at the Miami Metro Police Department. Michael C. Hall returned as the inner voice of Dexter. The pivot here seems to be to focus on Michael C. Hall as Dexter Morgan in the present day going forward, streamlining the Dexter universe down to just 1 series rather than 2. So I have finally gotten around to starting Dexter Original Sin. I wanted to really get watching that before seeing Resurrection, but I do keep seeing clips from Resurrection, which makes it look quite interesting, especially this role that Peter Dinklage has in it. So part of me does think maybe I need to pause Original Sin, especially now that it's been cancelled, and start on Resurrection. But I feel that the setup for Resurrection probably occurs in Original Sin. If anyone has no idea what I'm talking about, Dexter returned last year or so in New Blood, where he died, or he seemingly died at the end of that season. So I was initially skeptical how Resurrection season could work. At the very start of Original Sin, we see that he isn't dead, and this is his life flashing before his eyes, is how we are then being retold by him through his narration about how he started with his first kill and his early days in the Miami Metro PD. It's decent so far. I do find, I'm only 3 episodes in, I do find it drags a little bit, but I think the acting in it's quite good. Christian Slater does a good job as Harry. But yeah, it's not hugely gripping, I will say. Next up, Sweetest Day Red Band trailer. Holiday Slasher celebrates the other Valentine's Day. Alex DiVincenzo writes, Sweetest Day, a knockoff Valentine's Day celebrated predominantly in the Midwest on the 3rd Saturday in October, is the latest holiday to spawn a slasher. Celebrate your new favourite day by slicing into our exclusive Red Band trailer below. Dory C.A. stars as Mindy, a resilient survivor confronted by a vengeful undead Confederate soldier that nearly ended her life once before. Genre favourites Catherine Corcoran, Kelly Maroney, and Russell Todd also appear in the film. Nate Boyer, Morgana Shaw, Deborah C. Craig, Chris Labadie, Gaku Space, Gina Sue, Alex McNichol, and Andy Davoli round out the cast. Doug Hawley makes his feature directorial debut adapting from his 2022 proof of concept short of the same name. Hawley and Boyer penned the script based on the story by Hawley and C. Okay, I checked out the trailer for this. It looks like there's promise. I will say that. It does look like there's potential for a decent slasher in there. But it also, I don't know if the trailer has done that good of a job. The trailer makes the film look like it's quite confused as to what it is. I mean, there's action in it, there's some kills. It looks like they've gone for a bit of a comedy element, or maybe not so much comedy horror, but a bit of a humour in there. I've never heard of The Holiday Sweetest Day. It's definitely not something known over here in the UK, as far as I'm aware. But yeah, I mean, there's potential. It looks like there's potential in this. I want to keep an eye out for. This next one, I will definitely be keeping an eye out for. Alex DiVincenzo writes 70s horror throwback Brute 1976 hits theatres next week, VOD in September. Drawing inspiration from 70s horror classics The Texas Chainsaw Massacre and The Hills Have Eyes, Brute 1976 will premiere at L'Emle Glendale in Los Angeles on August 26th. The indie horror film will then open in select theatres on August 29, before arriving on VOD September 30th via Cinephobia releasing. Set in August 1976, Raquel and her girlfriend have car trouble and break down on the side of the road in the middle of nowhere. At the same time, a group of people are in the desert for a photo shoot. Soon they stumble upon an abandoned town where a family of masked psychopaths reside. Marcel Waltz directs, who did Blood Feast and Blind. I have a feeling I may have seen at least one of them, if not both. From a script by frequent collaborator Joan Netta, Neon Noir produce. Adrian McKean, Sarah French, Gigi Gustin, Adam Bucci, Mark Justice, Robert Felstead Jr., Ben Kaplan, Dazel Yvette, Bishop Ali Stevens, Jed Rowan, Alex Dundas, and Andreas Robin Starr. Trailer for this one looks pretty cool, and I must also say the fact that a sequel titled Brute 1986 is currently in post-production is pretty interesting, actually. This definitely looks like a throwback late 70s, early 80s sort of Texan slasher. It does have that kind of vibe and feel. Yeah, I mean, if that's your sort of thing. I mean, the poster artwork for it, I don't think looks that great. The poster artwork does look like Tubi original. No, that doesn't mean all Tubi originals are bad, but some Tubi originals with artwork like this, you may think, yeah, nah, I'm alright. I don't need to put myself for an hour and a half of that. But no, Brute 1976 does look like it could be a lot of fun. It looks pretty violent, and the masks for the killers look quite gnarly. So, I'm down for that one. And then next up, Nicolas Cage is reportedly in talks to star in True Detective Season 5. John Squires writes, Nicolas Cage has been on a horror hot streak with memorable performances in Mandy, Renfield and Longlegs, and Variety reports that Cage is now in talks for True Detective. Nicolas Cage is nearing a deal to star in the upcoming True Detective Season 5, which is again being helmed by Night Country creator Isa Lopez. HBO's True Detective has played host to some of the best actors of our time over the years, including Matthew McConaughey and Woody Harrelson in the standout first season, as well as Colin Farrell, Rachel McAdams, Mahershala Ali, and Jodie Foster. We recently learned that the new season of the hit series will be set in Jamaica Bay, New York, a long way from the chilly Ennis, Alaska setting of True Detective Night Country. It has been rumoured that the 5th season will have 3 leads, 2 male, 1 female, but that has not been confirmed at this time. True Detective Night Country averaged 12.7 million total viewers per episode, which makes it the most watched season of True Detective in the anthology's 4-season history. I am a fan of True Detective. I think, yes, it is a show that has not reached its peak since Season 1. Season 1 was incredible TV, all the way from the intrigue and mystery of the early episodes through to the incredible finale, visually incredible finale. Performances in it are absolutely standout. I did overall enjoy Season 2, but it was more of a slog. The story was a little bit more muddled. Performances in it were decent. It had some good creepy moments, especially this underground shootout. Double crossing thing like that was pretty good. It involved the soldier played by, can't remember the chap. Can't remember who played the soldier with PTSD. The 3rd season was pretty good. Again, it wasn't as good as the 1st season, but the 3rd season was okay. Night Country. Yeah, that was overall. I enjoyed that, but I did think the finale, the answers that came out of the finale, weren't necessarily 100% satisfying. I think it didn't. Overall, each episode, watching it, weekly with my fiance, we enjoyed it. There were times where I may have picked up on some stuff and had to explain it, and vice versa, where I maybe had missed certain things. But I did feel that by the time we got to the finale, I don't think the finale was that satisfying. So, yeah, I will always watch a new series of True Detective. I don't think there has been a particularly bad season, but it's certainly never been able to reach those incredible heights of its first season. That's for sure. But with Nicolas Cage on board, man, I mean, Mandy and Longlegs are right up there with some of my favourites of the last 10 years or so. Yeah, I'm hyped to see what he does with that. And that is it for the horror news. No, there's no jingle. So we're going to get on to reviews now. So I've done this little order a little while ago for the Second Sight sale, which I believe may still be on. Check it out, their releases are incredible. Unfortunately, the sale doesn't include their collector's edition boxes, which are beautiful. And expensive, unfortunately. But they've got a number of great releases, and they pack their releases with extras, which really, when you're buying physical media, of course with physical media it's great to own your film, and also the fact that streaming, while yes convenient, doesn't a film being on a streaming service is not forever, and quite often you can find yourself going, oh, I'm going to go to Netflix to watch so and so. It's not there anymore, just gone, and that can be incredibly frustrating. But when you physically own the film, not only is the quality of it so much better, you don't have to wait for buffering, audio quality then tends to be much better, I find. But you also get loads of extras, which if you're a big cinema fan, I sometimes will watch a director's commentary, not often, because I find it distracting, but, director's interviews, behind the scenes making of, things like that, deleted scenes, is you get your money's worth when you buy physical media from somewhere like Arrow or Second Sight. Shout out Arrow, because I finally got Dark City. Yay! Well, shout out to HMV, because they were actually very good. HMV and Milton Keynes, very, very helpful. So, anyway, High Tension. As with all our reviews, I'll talk a little bit about the plot, I'll talk about the highs, the lows, and I'll give you a score out of 10. High Tension, also known as Switchblade Romance in some English-speaking countries, is a 2003 French slasher film directed by Alexandre Aja, co-written with Gregory Levasseur and starring Cécile de France and Marlene. The plot focuses on a young student who travels with her classmate to visit her family at their secluded farmhouse, where a murderer breaks in on the night of their arrival. Okay, and the film has been cited as being associated with the New Extremity movement. So I think of this film as part of the new wave of French extreme. So I've seen a couple of films that would be likened to that. I haven't fully seen Inside. I've seen part of it, and I remember thinking, oh god, I think I'm going to be sick watching this film. But I have seen Frontiers, and I'm sure that there's some other... If I just click on New Extremity movement, I'll just see what other films stand out in that. Right, yeah. Not sure. Martyrs, that's what I'm thinking of. Yeah, Martyrs is an excellent film, but it's very much in the lane of Eden Lake for me, where it's like, I've seen it now. I'm pretty much changed from watching it, and that is, you could look at that as hyperbole, and some people will look at it as, well, the gore for gore's sake isn't as gory as some other things, but it's more so just the concept and the setting and the acts that are done for the purpose that they're done that is just harrowing. So, anyway, I knew that I'd seen some films in New Wave French extremity, but I also knew I hadn't seen this before, and I'd always heard about it. I'd always heard of it having high praise, and also about the ending being incredibly divisive. I won't go into full spoilers, I won't talk about the ending, but I will talk about the start of the film, give you some of my ideas on it. So, best friends Marie and Alex are on their way to stay at Alex's parents' house for the weekend to study. Upon arriving, Alex gives Marie a tour of her house, then they have dinner and go to bed. While the family sleeps, Marie stays awake in the guest bedroom, listening to music and Having a play, Marie hears a doorbell ring, and Alex's father, Daniel, answers it. The man slashes Daniel's face with a straight razor, presses his head between two staircase spindles, and shoves a bookcase towards his head, decapitating him. Alex's mother, awakened by the noise, finds Daniel dead and is approached by the killer. Marie, hearing the mother's screams, rearranges the guest bedroom to conceal her presence and hides under her bed. The killer inspects Marie's room but does not find her. Marie creeps downstairs and finds Alex chained in her bedroom. So the fact that this film is called High Tension or Haute Tension is... I'm really sorry if I'm offending French people with my awful accent. It's incredibly apt. Gee willikers. This film is intense, man. The opening introduction of the characters, you can tell that there's a bit of an attraction for Marie to Alex. Marie with the short hair seems a little bit more adventurous. Alex a bit reserved. Lovely family in the countryside. But then we also meet this chap who drives around in this beat-up van, almost like the Beating You van from Jeepers Creepers, who his introduction's being shown parked up using a decapitated head for fellatio. yeah, all right, there you go. It's off the bat, it's an insane introduction. The violence in this is another level. It's not so much in the sense of gratuity. Like, it's not like a Terrifier where everything you see is overblown to the extreme. You know, there is gore in it. There's a decapitation with a bookcase, for crying out loud. There's, mutilations, dismemberments. But it is more so just the fact that when you're seeing a number of these instances, we're following the character of Marie, who is almost stuck witnessing some horrible things happening where she can't do anything to stop it. So people who've been watching the channel for a while know I have the Pooch of Horror, Bailey. The Pooch of Horror now has two siblings, old lady Penny and young puppy Pip Pip. Penny is quite deaf. She's an old lady. She sleeps a lot. She doesn't really pay much attention. Pippin is quite a reactive dog. He's a lovely dog. He's very excitable, very energetic. He absolutely hates horror films. If we put on a film that even has a score that has a bit of tension in it, like a Jurassic Park film, he gets nervous. He visibly looks upset. And last week, he watched with me Night of the Demons Part 2. Didn't like that. I did. He didn't. With High Tension, there's a lot of moments of visceral screaming during just violence. And at one point, when one of the screams happens, he jumped up from his bed, tail between his legs, almost shaking. And I feel really bad for that, because at that point I messaged my fiance who's upstairs, and I kind of said, I don't really think I can watch horror films downstairs with the dogs anymore. I don't think it's right, because he is traumatized. But I did not let that affect my enjoyment of the film. Yeah, as the film progresses, I do remember that I'd heard bits and pieces about not so much the context, what happens in the film, but just the finale. It's built around a big reveal in the final 20 minutes or so. And normally that sort of reveal in a horror film, thriller film, I normally hate. I normally roll my eyes when it's like, oh, this is what's happening. Apologies if that is any form of spoiler, but the film has been out for 22 years now, so yeah. At that point, I think spoilers. Come on, let's not be silly. But yeah, when it came to the reveal, it worked. Not that it so much surprised me, because as I say, I knew that there was something going on there, but the way it was done, and also the very final shot of the film, oof, haunting, terrifying, unnerving. Yeah, the tension in this really doesn't let up from the start of the home invasion, and I had a great time with this. I really, really thought that this actually exceeded my expectations. If it's still available on sale via Second Sight, pick up a copy now. Run, don't walk to their website. 8.5 out of 10 for Haute Tension, High Tension, Switchblade Romance. Really, really good. And then finally for the reviews, I watched a few weeks ago, so hopefully I can remember the plot. Your Host, which has now premiered at Fright Fest 2025. Shout out to Strike Media for the screener. Love you guys. So, Your Host. Let me get the details. Directed by D.W. Medoff, Your Host stars Academy Award nominee Jackie Earle Haley of Watchmen and A Nightmare on Elm Street fame, Ella Ray Smith, Jamie Flatters, David Angland, and Joelle Ray. 4 23-year-old friends go on a birthday retreat to a luxury cabin. While partying, they find a VHS camcorder filming them from the woods. During the night, they are drugged in their sleep by a man in all black who stays hidden in the shadows. But when they wake up, they find themselves in an abandoned factory transformed into a game show-like torture room. Their captor is a deranged host in an orange velvet suit with a terrifying mask who forces the friends to play games and hurts them if they lose. In a twist of fate, it seems that it is not random abuse. The host has a connection to one of the friends and he keeps it a secret. He gives them all a chance to admit it was them to set 3 free and kill the one. When his target victim doesn't come clean, the brutal games continue. To survive, they must play unique and deadly games that only a psychotic game show host could invent. The host laughs as the friends betray, hurt, and eventually start to kill each other, but the only way to escape is to win. Right. Man, this film is intense. This film is intense. Jackie Earle Haley is incredibly charismatic as the host. His mask is quite creepy. I think it is even creepier when the mask comes off, to be honest. Because the extent to which this character has gone in their appearance is quite creepy, to put it lightly. Think of this film as a dark web version of Saw, where we are introduced to these characters who all seem like quite good friends. Maybe some characters are a bit nicer than others, some are a bit more like arseholes, but they find themselves chained up to this wall and part of a game show. And once the games start, they are dark. The gore in this works quite nicely. It's not exploitatively over the top, but it does that whole torture horror thing quite well, where a character has an opportunity to potentially, or hopefully has an opportunity to potentially get out of impending doom, and that impending doom is absolutely horrifying, whether it be a needle through the eye from a hidden box, whether it be this pressure pusher thing from the ceiling with a blade aiming at someone's scalp. It's this is just high tension is tension throughout. This is just unnerving. What I liked about this film, not just the performances, especially Jackie Earle Haley, as I've mentioned, but the development of the story. It isn't one of those things where we have this, there's been a few sort of, I think there's a film called Dark Game that I reviewed a little while ago, where it's a dark web focused type game. And this has the appearance of dark web, but don't read too much into that. There is a reason behind this captor's game. And once you understand that, and once you then get reveals of everyone associated with why, you feel some empathy, even if they're doing awful things. But it's a similar sort of thing with John Kramer. What he is doing and the situations he's putting people in are absolutely horrifying. But does he have a good reason for doing it? In a very, very twisted sort of way, yes. It leads us through to quite a nice finale, I would say. I say things work quite nicely there. Production values wise, this looks pretty neat. It looks like it had some money behind it, so I like that. It didn't look cheap or anything. That didn't take me out of the film. And again, performances. Jackie Earle Haley and I think our lead, Ella Ray Smith, both work really nicely together. The dynamic between them is they really play off each other very well in this. And D.W. Medoff, yeah. I mean, I don't know what other films he's done. This may be his debut, but I dug it. And Joey Miller wrote the script for this. Joey Miller's recently followed me on Instagram. Shout out Joey Miller. Thank you very much for the follow, dude. I like the content because it's your host related. So, what did I think of the film? Creepy, gory without being too gratuitous. I can't remember too much of the score, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. It wasn't a case of it was distractingly mediocre, but there wasn't particular score motifs that stood out to me. The score did its job, I should say. But the story as a whole, I think, worked really nicely. Your host, I mean, 1 year I do want to get down to Fright Fest or something similar to that. Unfortunately, very close to running to when I'm going away for my wedding, but in future years I would definitely like to check it out. So Your Host, I'm going to give that a solid 8 out of 10. I don't know when it is coming to cinemas or to at-home streaming. I don't have that information here, but 22nd of August was its debut at Fright Fest. So keep a lookout for when this comes available to watch at home or in cinemas. Anyway, Ghouls and Fiends, that is it for another edition of the Ministry of Horror. I hope you've enjoyed this. Be sure to like, follow, subscribe on whatever platform you listen or watch this. Comment as well, that helps with the algorithm. Give us a review if you're listening on audio platforms. Really does help. Share it around to horror like-minded fans like yourself. We also have social media, Instagram, Facebook, and of course TikTok, which we're getting close to 600 followers. It's really nice how that is growing over there, and that is a good outlet for me to put horror film recommendations on a daily basis, initial thoughts to things as they land. So if you don't already follow the TikTok, be sure to search for Ministry of Horror or ministry.of.horror. We also have a Patreon. Patreon has been a bit light recently. I will be endeavouring to get some more blogs up on there. And of course, this show drops there as well. 90 Slave Fiancé. Again, we have got another episode to do. It's just been incredibly busy. So in the next week or so, I will see if we can sit down and get something recorded. But as we're approaching the wedding, we're both running on empty, unfortunately. But if you want to support the channel, you can head to patreon.com/Ministry of Horror, or you can also go to twitch.tv/Tezius, Tezzius, where I do occasionally stream. There is a PayPal donate button, so if you wanted to support, buy us a latte for our honeymoon, you can do so over there. Anyway, thank you very much. Catch you ghouls and fiends later on. Goodbye.